Hi, and welcome to another episode on this fabulous Tuesday, July the 19th. And we're broadcasting live from the office of McKinstry Banquet Hall, located at 5480 Jug Factory Road here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where it's a special place for special people for all special occasions. We're also broadcasting live on Soundbooth Radio 106.1 and Soundbooth TV and Soundbooth YouTube. Mike, tell them how can they chime in on Soundbooth Radio.
Sure thing, Daryl. Check us out on Soundbooth Radio. Just go to the iOS or your Google Play Store. Download the Live 365 app. Once you download that app, then you just go to the search bar and type in Soundbooth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the radio side of Soundbooth Radio. To check us out on the video side, all you gotta do is go to Facebook. Type in Soundbooth Radio 106.1 or type in my personal page, Mike K. Wilson. Or you can go to YouTube and type in Soundbooth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on Soundbooth TV.
Mike, each and every week we bring this event, we bring all this information to people. As always, we're glad that we're here and people are still following us after what this gets going on almost 3 years now, isn't it?
Yeah, about that.
So we're glad to still be around and people, can still being informed. We just want to thank everybody that chime in with us each and every week. Want to thank Mike?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I was switching over.
I was saying I don't have you on the screen.
We're on there. As far as I'm on mine.
I see.
I'm talking to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I see there. I don't see Mike.
Okay, yeah. Let me pull you up. Okay, we're gonna go to a commercial break. I'll get you in there, Mike.
Okay.
But as always, our very own Veronica Taylor has joined us with us, and she's provided us with the COVID-19 update. Veronica, give us the COVID-19 update. How about that?
Okay, let me switch my turn on other device.
Okay.
Okay, I had just turned it off. Okay, well, as we do know, DCH Sisters has gone to updating on every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So due to that, the Alabama Department of Mental Health, they update find it, but their updating system is not as up to date as it had been at the height of the pandemic. But with the numbers being where they are, I would think and hope that they would start back to updating at least weekly. But as far as the New York Times, as for Alabama, there's an average of 2,575 cases per day were reported in this state in the last week. So cases have increased by 55% from the average 2 weeks ago.
Wow. It's more contagious. It's very much more contagious this time than the previous time because I have coworkers that been around each other for a small amount of time and bam, they test positive. So
right, and they're talking about the boosters again. They're saying that because it's so much more contagious, the variant of I think the BA5 that they're trying to decide when or at what point do they need to go ahead and maybe do boosters. So it seems like it's becoming like they have said with the flu, and a lot of people are against that and they don't want to do it, but I just don't know what else we could do. And something else we may need to talk about is that the monkeypox is now you can count the states that it is not in. So if you can protect yourself from anything, just do so. Just last person, always put God first and pray about it. And hope that God has guided the minds and hands of these researchers and developers, just like we pray He guides the hands of the doctors and nurses and the different types of doctors and therapists that we come in contact with daily, because monkeypox is the numbers are spreading. So just protect yourself from the things that you can as much as you can. And it's transmissible skin to skin. So all this handshaking and stuff people were doing, the back of the hand and fist bumps because of COVID. I'm just people look at me funny sometimes. I'm just not a handsy person. I'm just not anymore a touchy person. I've never been, but I would hug people, from time to time. But that I'm just not. I don't know. Like I said, you have to pray about it, but we know what's going on. So a lot of the things that you did to try to, be able to keep contact with people during the pandemic, it's just like you don't want to touch. You don't know. I've never been one to touch people's hands in a way because I see people sitting at the light and their fingers are all over their face and all in their nose. So I'm just not that person. It's just me want to touch hands and shake hands often. I'm kind of like the Asians. I kind of do your bow and throw my hand up and step back. I don't. I don't do all that. So y'all just be cautious
Okay.
and hopefully people understand.
Well, as always, Veronica, we say a prayer for everybody, and that's what we're going to do shortly right now. And those of you that joining in, we want to thank Miss Betty Hopkins for joining in on my screen. She was one of the first ones. So if y'all would, just join in for a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come up on the airways. Thank you for your grace and mercy and watching over our families. Heavenly Father, we just want to give you all the praise and all the glory. We ask that you continue to watch over all our essential workers, all our nurses and doctors and receptionists and laundry department and housekeeping department, all the people that's working in the hospitals and nursing homes. We ask that you continue to watch over them and bless their families as always. Heavenly Father, we're asking that you continue to look over all our families and friends, all the families that are going through bereavement right now. We're asking that you just lift them up where they're weak right now and let them know that you're in charge, Heavenly Father. Right now, we're also praying right now for all our local government, our mayor, our presidents, our council people, all the councilmen and commissioners, the governor, all the people in the government body. We're praying for them, all our police officers and firemen, all our garbage workers and mail, post office people, everyone right now. We're praying for everyone, Heavenly Father. Go into the hospital and heal the ones right now, Heavenly Father, in your Son Jesus Christ's name. We're asking that for a mighty healing right now for the people that's in the hospital right now. In your Son Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Man.
Amen.
Yes, yes, yes. Going through so much right now. We're still going through this segment or this idea or this concept of getting used to death. Right now you see a friend today and tomorrow they're gone. And I want to say it's all the bereavement families out there that's going through the loss of loved ones. There is help. There is companies that grief. If you're having problems with grief, we're asking that you can seek help through counseling, different organizations like hospice. They have free counseling for grief counseling, and some of the other families out here. I mean, other organizations out here, social workers and different people. So there's help if you're having a problem getting over grief. So just give us a call. We'll point you in the right direction or inbox me, whichever one. We'll try to get you some help on that. I know a lot of people been going through, the idea or the concept of not getting used to this. I mean, but there again, we never know the day, time, or hour that was, it might be one of our times. So all we can do is ask everyone to stay prayed up and be prepared. We had the lady, Miss Jackson, come on and talk about insurance. And we still want to encourage people to make sure they get a life insurance policy on their loved ones. And we just want to thank her also for coming on and sharing this. Once again, if you're looking for insurance, don't forget about Miss Alicina Jackson. She's a licensed life insurance agent here locally in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So if you know some families or friends that look for insurance, they'd be a great person to talk to about insurance. Don't forget about
Darryl, I was just gonna say before we moved on from her too quick. Um, like I said, I reached out to her myself of personal reasons, and she's one of those people that will follow up with you and keep in touch with you. Not trying to force you to do anything, just hey, I'm still. If you need anything, just let me know. That's what type of a person she is. Not like I'm gonna sell you a policy and then you'll never hear from me again. So
right.
that's what kind of person she is.
Well, I think people need to give her a call. If they don't have insurance, please give her a call. And that number is 886-1462. 886-1462. That'll get you in contact with you. If you don't have insurance or if you're thinking or reconsidering about more insurance, one thing she said that I like, you can have more than one life insurance policy. So that means, uh, you know, your kids can have a policy on you, or you can have one on yourself, and you can have one on your kid, just in case. Just in case. Um, I guess this is a way of just protecting your loved ones and family from have to take up donations and fish fries and things of that nature. Just please give her a call, and she's there to help. Also, getting ahead of ourselves, on September the 10th at McKinstry Banquet Hall, Miss Leroy Hall will be speaking. She's a street poet, a motivational speaker that will be at McKinstry Banquet Hall, which is held by No More Tears, which is Miss Tina Sanders. She's bringing this young lady in for a evening of motivation speaking, and I think it'll be a wonderful time for people to come out and have a great time. That's on Saturday, September the 10th, 2022, right here at McKinstry Banquet Hall, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We'll get more into it. Tina will come on and tell us more about the program that's set for September the 10th. Don't forget about the stage play, My Black is Blue. That's going to take place on August the 20th. August the 20th at the Alabama Alberta School of Performance Art. Here, that's going to be on Saturday, August the 20th, and it's two times. It's two different times, one at 2 p.m. and one at 7 p.m. So don't hesitate on getting your tickets. Come on out, be a part of this stage play, this magnificent stage play. And I had a chance to meet Miss Shana Moore on yesterday. Miss Shauna Moore. I met her. She didn't think I knew who she was, but I did, and I had been noticed it. But get your tickets. I think there's, other than Cash App, you can now go on Eventbrite and get tickets also. Don't forget about Aliceville is still recruiting police officers if you're looking for a job in law enforcement. So if you know someone might want to try it, let them know that Aliceville is looking for law enforcement officers right now. So that's available for those. Want to say hello to my good friend Marcus McKinney. How you doing, sir? This past Saturday, uh, me and yourself did attend the financial literacy um, seminar that took place by Dr. Sean Hill over at the Northport Civic Center. Great turnout, great turnout. A lot of good information that was given out also. So I want to thank everybody that chimed in on that. If you are interested in financial literacy information or being a part of it, we just want to thank everyone that came out and been a part of that. Mike,
Yes, sir.
the conversation tonight, you said earlier, Veronica had brought it up a couple weeks ago, and we had so much going on about Jayland Walker. And I think before we get to talking about it, let's go ahead and take just a quick commercial break. And let me tell you why I do certain commercials too. Some people say, well, you don't never show the other commercials. What happens is some of our commercials do have copyright music on it. And what happens is when I do play it, they have been either muting or we have been discontinued for us to, the show itself. So what I do is try to show those at the end of the show, and every night at the end of the show, it'll pop up and say this is. Let me see what exactly it says. Your video is partially muted due to a copyright match, and that be at the end of the show, so that's fine. So that's why I wait to show a lot of them at the end of the program. But we're working on some new ones. We're working on a lot of just non-copyrighted music commercials and getting them in there too. So the ones you do see, they are not copyrighted music on them. They're either voice overs or they own special music. So that's why we have been playing everyone's commercial at once, because they have the copyrighted music. So just stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to y'all in just a minute about the Jayland Walker situation.
Hello? Hey, Rick. I had to call you to tell you that the food that you brought to the party last night was wonderful. It made me think about my grandmother's cooking. Where did you get that food, brother?
I went down to Thomas' Rib Shack to pick up the ribs, but when I got there, I seen that they had more than just ribs. I seen baked chicken, fried chicken, corn muffins, vegetables, apple pie, peach pie, and I looked around and I seen a sign that told me that they got chitlins and oxtails on Sunday. All I can tell you, go down to 2931 15th Street or just give them a call like I did at area code 205-759-5010. Thomas Rib Shack, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Get your event jumping with Caroline Shines and Impulse Band. Impulse Band has been together for over 7 years, and they haven't missed a beat yet. The band has and will play in various venues and doesn't mind traveling to you. Being led by Alabama Blues Hall of Famer herself, Mrs. Caroline Shine. Impulse has opened up for Bobby Rush, L.J. Eccles, Tank, Fantasia, Calvin Richardson, just to name a few. The Impulse Band will surely fit your need for entertainment. Dial 205-887-6859 or 205-887-5026. Or you can just email them at shinesbrightly@yahoo.com. Caroline Shines and Impulse, the band made just for you.
When do they anticipate meeting in this?
Every time they say they give a date, but always get pushed back. So, and right now they talking about the air conditioning. They waiting on air conditioning. The air conditioning is back order. I'm like, what kind of air conditioning y'all get? You know, like.
We're back, y'all. I want to also mention copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. I want to thank everyone once again for chiming in with us on the night. We're talking about the shooting that took place on June the 27th. Unarmed young man, African American young man, unarmed at the moment, shot 60 times. 60 times. Um, what do you think? I mean, was it justifiable, or had you seen it, Mike, or any of you all?
Well, I personally haven't seen it, but I heard about it. Like I said, Veronica, I think you brought it up a few weeks ago when we were speaking about some other incidents that happened here in just Tuscaloosa, pertaining to. I think we said that each one of those officers unloaded their clip in this person.
I don't know if each one of them did, but I know that 90 rounds were empty, and at the time they said 60 wounds were found. They didn't know how many were entry or exit, and even with what happened with what they're talking about just a few days ago, it seems as if they're trying to decrease the number of shots, but it's just too much. It was over. It was too much. Regardless, they can keep trying to decrease it. They're now down to saying that his body had 46 gunshot wounds. They either shot him or grazed him. 5 in the back, but they said that the 5 in the back doesn't necessarily mean that he was running. The other ones could have twisted his body and they could have hit him in the back. So it's just, I don't know. They didn't do a residue test on his hands. because they said a residue, to find powder doesn't mean that he shot the gun that day or that at that particular time, and not find the residue doesn't mean that he didn't shoot the gun. So my thing, whatever justification they're trying to do, if there was a shot fired, it was one, and it was and there wasn't not another one, and he was killed after exiting. So he didn't turn and shoot them or anything. So I just, I don't. It's just they've still been protesting. I just don't understand why they are trying to slowly decrease the number. And so now they're saying like maybe 46 wounds, and at least the medical examiner did say that the ones that just that to his back doesn't mean that he was running. So I don't know if she's trying to make people feel like, well, he wasn't running, the police didn't shoot him in the back, or what they're trying to do with that, but they have not tried, they haven't tested him. And the thing that really upset me is that he was taken in. When he was taken in, he was still handcuffed. What was the need to handcuff him?
You mean when the ambulance people got him?
When they took him in, he was handcuffed.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. So they're saying a report of gunshot residue was not completed because the FBI and the medical examiner's office, they discontinued doing those tests in recent years. But like I said, as far as the residue testing, it doesn't mean it's not success. There's many factors where it could lead to a false positive or a false negative. So it doesn't mean that he fired a weapon. A positive test doesn't mean he fired a weapon. A negative test doesn't mean that he did not fire a weapon. So I'm like, they're just going through all this other stuff. Like, really and truly, they watched the video. So why are they? So they haven't been doing these tests. So why are they harping on that? They should be harping on the fact that this man was shot at 90 times, hit 60 times. They're explaining how entry could be through the arm and then also hit the torso. So, they're doing all these explanations, but the bottom line is they emptied on this 25-year-old man who did not shoot at them at the time 90 times. And it was so some of the officers were even turning their heads or turning back because of all the noise, all the firepower. So I don't know how many have actually shot their weapons, but it's just too much. It's too much.
It appears that every time you have a well, I won't say mass shooting, but you have a police involved shooting where there are multiple officers shooting and there are multiple bullet holes in somebody. They tend to do that. Like, they want to explain all the entry of each and every bullet that comes through, so they can explain, well, the reason why they shot, and of course, you had to do that because if you didn't, then and they felt for their life. It's always these type of excuses that's coming up, which is why you have a lot of people right now who don't necessarily trust in law enforcement, like you once did. You know, these supposed to be people that hold you accountable for upholding the law. And when they do stuff that they're not supposed to do, they're not being held accountable. So now it's like, hey, if y'all ain't gonna be held accountable, why should we trust y'all for anything else? Y'all say that we did just to keep yourself out of hot water. That's the kind of situation that you have right now. I don't know of any person, unless you're looking at one of these movies, they can get shot all the times and still live.
True.
So why do you need handcuffs?
And it's ridiculous. I mean, why did there was no need for handcuffs. Wednesday, it happened on the 27th. I think this past Wednesday, um, they declared, officials of the city declared that Wednesday is a citywide day of mourning. Because they had an open casket. The family's decision to show his body, they said, reminded some people of the Emmett Till's mother's, Maggie Till's decision to show the body, but they did have an open casket. The NAACP on last Thursday asked Attorney General Merrick Garland to open a federal civil rights investigation. So they're saying that the agency said the prosecutors from the Civil Rights Division of the Attorney General's office in Ohio, along with the FBI, are monitoring and reviewing the circumstances surrounding his death.
I'm going to read the New York Times edition of the incident. Video of Jayland Walker shooting by police raised more questions. A 25-year-old black man who was killed last week by a police officer in Akron, Ohio, suffered more than 60 gunshot wounds, but was unarmed at the time, the police chief said Sunday. That detail was among the facts that began to emerge in the killing of the man, Jayland Walker, who died last Monday after fleeing the police during what was supposed to be a routine traffic stop. At a news conference on Sunday, the police released body cam of the pursuit and shooting that showed officers' actions but deepened many questions around his death, which remains under investigation. Mr. Walker had one traffic ticket and no criminal record. The police said the initial sought to pull him over for an equipment violation and a traffic violation. 8 officers were directly involved in the shooting, have been placed on administrative leave according to the department policy. The police said following the release of the videos, hundreds of protesters marched in downtown Akron demanding justice for Mr. Walker and decrying police violence, as Mr. Walker's family urged the community to remain peaceful. In one video, a popping sound can be heard at one point, and an officer reported gunfire coming from the door of Mr. Walker's car. The shot itself is not visible from the footage, but during the news conference, footage from outside the car was shown that seemed to be captured a muzzle flash coming from Mr. Walker's driver's side door. The police said during the news conference that a handgun was later found in Mr. Walker's car and that a bullet casing was found where they said he fired and that it was consistent with the weapon found in Mr. Walker's vehicle. Still photo released by the police shows a handgun on the seat, along with a gold ring. Mr. Walker's girlfriend died recently in a car accident. Bobby DeCello, a lawyer for the Walker family, said Mr. Walker had only recently obtained the gun. Jayland was not familiar with firearms, and we do not know if it accidentally fired, he said, but police did find no bullets in the handgun when they found it in the car after his death. In the news conference, the police did not address whether the handgun in the car was unloaded, but said there was a loaded magazine on the seat. As the chase continued, it lasted more than 7 minutes. The footage showing officers saying that Mr. Walker's car is slowing down. Mr. Walker's car had reached speeds of more than 50 miles per hour at times going through residential neighborhoods. Seconds later, Mr. Walker, wearing a ski mask, exited the vehicle and began to flee on foot. The chase was brief, and footage appeared to show a number of officers pursuing Mr. Walker, weapons drawn, into a nearby parking lot while shooting at him. Police officers initially deployed tasers but were unsuccessful. Police said a few seconds later the officer opened fire and Mr. Walker dropped to the ground. Stephen Mellett, the Akron Police chief, said he wasn't sure how many total shots had been fired at Mr. Walker. He could not confirm the exact number of bullets that struck him, though he cited the wounds reported by the medical examiner, but he anticipated the number would be very high. Chief Miller said the officer contended that Mr. Walker had quickly turned toward the officer and made a motion toward his waist area. The chief confirmed that Mr. Walker was unarmed after fleeing his vehicle. However, Mr. DeCello said that in an earlier meeting that included the chief and the family, the chief said he had not been seeing evidence that suggests the officer's lives were threatened. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is conducting an inquiry. After that is complete, the case will be turned over to the Ohio Attorney General's office for review. The decision of whether to charge the officer involved with a crime will be determined by prosecutors, but charges have rarely been filed in similar cases of shooting involving the police. If a gun was fired during the chase, that fact could weigh heavily on the decision of whether to prosecute, and it could provide a measure of credibility to officers' claim that they were in danger. And it goes on more and more and more.
So they saying that they found a single round, but they found an unloaded handgun in the car with a clip on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and quite possibly it could have been an accidental shooting because him not knowing anything about guns, and I'm just speculating. Him not knowing much about handguns, probably didn't realize that he had one in the chamber when he caught himself was unloading the gun. So,
It's possible.
but with all that being said, did it take 90 rounds being shot at one person?
That being said, that was possible. What you said about him and the weapon. Um, I just find too many at that point. I mean, I wasn't there, but I just think we're getting too trigger happy, too quickly to get trigger happy. Of
I think that's exactly it, Daryl.
we're seeing people. I'm hearing people now just locally saying officers getting out on traffic stop with their guns drawn. For what? What's the justification for drawing your gun? That's
Well,
I think it's how do eight people think that he's pulling a gun at the same time? I think when the first couple of shots fired, it was just like bye bye, let's go. But how do eight people think that he's turning to pull a weapon at the same time? So much so that they let off 90 rounds.
Tina said John Blake Sr., my good friend, was the guy arrested. John Blake Sr.'s son was shot by police in 2020. He's paralyzed. And she was there, and it's such a sad, eerie feeling. In my mind.
It's like how do eight officers determine that they thought that he was reaching to, so how do they all think that at the same time?
But
Because when it's African Americans, it's too much. How do they all determine that? And once so many are fired, he's not firing. I remember once incident happened where people said, well, his body was jerking. So what do you think he was like taking those bullets like Iron Man and trying to still shoot at y'all?
like I said, unless you in a movie, that don't happen. Um, if you get shot by a bullet, it's gonna turn you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and each one of those officers probably shooting 9mm handguns, right? So that's impact.
But let's I'm all dandy on that, and I'm fine with the people doing the protesting. But let me read another article for you and see why it wasn't a protest for this. 10 killed, at least 62 wounded in 4th of July weekend shootings
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago. At least 10 people were killed. 62 others were wounded by gunfire over the 4th of July weekend in Chicago. 12 of the wounded were shot in 3 attacks on the west and south side. 4 people in West Garfield Park Friday evening, 5 men in Parkway Garden on the south side early Monday, and 3 people in Woodlawn early Tuesday. At least 16 people were shot, 2 fatally in a violent 8-hour span late Saturday into early Sunday in the city, according to Chicago police. And a 5-year-old boy was hit in the shoulder Sunday night, apparently by a bullet that had been shot into the air in Humboldt Park. And a 10-year-old boy was wounded when bullets were fired at the side of the Inglewood home and struck him in his bedroom Sunday night. The holiday toll is lower than last year when 19 people were killed and more than 100 people were shot over the 4th of July weekend in 2020. 79 people were shot, 15 of them fatally in 2019. 68 people were shot, 5 of them fatally shot. 5 of them was fatal. Why is there not an uproar in this same circumstance? Why is it not a
I feel like sometimes people have just gotten so desensitized to the violence amongst people, amongst each other, and they feel like they've been discouraged as far as protesting with that. Because look at how much it happens. But as far as when it comes to police, I think that everybody still has this, but they're supposed to protect us, especially when it's like too much. But it should be an uproar of all of it.
It should be a rule on both ends of it. It should be a
I think they feel like criminals will be criminals. That's what they do. But when it comes to officers, I think it goes back to they're supposed to protect us. They're supposed to stick by this oath, uphold this oath. So I think some people have gotten desensitized to the public, the crime that criminals sadly do, but not to those who are supposed to protect and serve. But it should be all of it.
yes. So you know, and before we go any further, I'm gonna also read about this mass shootings in 2022. There's been over 300 mass shootings so far in 2022. This is according to the Washington Post. There's already been more than 300 mass shootings this year in the United States, according to the Gun Violence Archive. The shooting at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park that left 6 people dead and dozens injured was one of 14 mass shootings over the long weekend. There have been just over 100 since a rampage at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, left 19 children and 2 teachers dead on May 24th. Let me see if they're gonna bring up about the one at the mall. It's not in that article. So let me see. The last one I think was the article. Let's see. Who was the one at the mall? Was that in Indiana? Yeah. Police identified victim gunman in Indiana mall shooting. Now that one, in that situation, seems like it was a hero, a ordinary citizen that took upon himself that was legally armed and took out the threat. Legally took out the threat before any more people were killed.
Yes, that's been a hot topic on a lot of the news outlets. Some are saying, see, we told y'all you need good people with weapons, we need good people with guns. But then the other side is saying that is true. And when they're purchased legally, that's fine, which that one was. But when you're shooting in a mall, some police officers don't seem to have good aim. So let alone people who, how do you know which people will be trained? And how do you know that this wasn't just a good person who knew what they were doing? How many times will it be a good person that knows exactly what they're doing? Can we just leave that in the hands to say everybody knows what they're doing because they legally, even if the ones who have them legally, was it luck that he didn't hit anyone else? Was it did it just happen that he didn't hit anyone else? So they've been having a lot of back and forth about that. Thank God he didn't hit anybody else.
The thing about it, and we have had this conversation before as well, when it comes down to owning any type of firearm, there needs to be some sort of training. Believe it or not, there are more people that got firearms when they never shot their firearm the first time, but they got it. So if something was to actually go down in which they need to use their firearm, they probably shoot everything except the thing they're aiming for.
Right.
They're not gonna be expecting the recoil of that weapon or anything. So you
I'm
know,
That man, he's probably saved a lot of people. And the police, I think he deserves to be recognized for what he did. But I think what some people on the other side are saying, don't give don't make this like, hey, police are good with y'all do what you do.
hmm.
yeah, they all want to give him a vigilante status, and then hopefully other folks start. We had a similar situation in our at the Galleria a couple of years ago. during Thanksgiving, EJ, he had his weapon out and he was shot because he had his weapon out.
Mm-hmm. Because no one knew exactly was he a good guy or bad guy. I'm gonna invite Tina Sanders to join the conversation if you want to join the conversation tonight. She said she made some comments saying the city is broken. Walker family is so broken, and then she said at the same time though, how do we expect for anyone to care about us when we don't care about ourselves? That was my whole point between the three stories: the mass shootings, the violence in Chicago, these shootings in 4th of July, and the police.
You know what, y'all? Things are going wild. Things are wild. I think as individuals, as smart-minded people, as enough like-minded people, people can multitask. And I feel like there are those it's just get the work. It needs to stop. I think people can focus on all because you never know. Situations can be many different situations, many different scenarios, many different. I think we have a problem with crime, with weapons in the communities, and we have a problem with certain law enforcement officers and what they do. I feel like it all has to be. We have to care about each other over all of it because it can happen. So much can happen. That's just like when you're trying to fight racism. We got colorism within our own community.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be fought. We have racism that needs to be fought. Sesame Street Park, just this one particular character, they say always turns down children, mistreat children. Now they're trying all they can to say that their park is an affiliate of the bigger Sesame Street brand because they show this lady clearly. They changed their story. She passed by the black kids, didn't want to high five him, and the way she cut her hand, it was kind of like, nah. That's the way I saw it. And that's the way the parents saw it. And that's the way even other members saw it. But she said that she was saying, no, I can't take pictures with somebody else because that was against the law. But this same character has been reported as being racist towards black children for a while now. So I just feel like we have to be able to multitask. We have to be able to show the same amount of outrage with different situations.
That's true. Hey, we got Tina Sanders on the line with us.
Hey, Tina.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing great. Doing great.
Yes, sir. You
I thought this would be a conversation you would want to be a part of.
Say that again, Mr. Fisher.
I said I thought this might have been a conversation you would want to be a part of since you had a lot of comments.
Yes, I got a chance to go to Ohio. My good friend, Mr. Blake Senior, he travels all over. It's called Family First is the name of his organization. And he was the guy, if you remember, I don't know if they showed on news because I just got video, but he was had got out of his car to tell the people to come on, let's go, and they tased and beat him, put his arm by. He had a seizure. He even had a little small heart attack. And they beat up some of the other people that was with him as well. But I did go up, like I said, I met with the family. They're broken. They have no understanding, of course. And she just said as far as the fiancés go, like you were saying, Veronica, she wanted his casket to be open. She wanted them to see what they did to her son. Mm-hmm. But he was shot up he had holes like a sponge. So, and I sat with her for a very long time with her, and there was quite a few other families that has experienced this police brutality there. And some of these same officers have been involved in similar situations.
Mm-hmm. It seems like, you used to have a conscience that when you take a life, especially if you find out that you might have taken a life accidentally, it should actually bother you. And the way that I'm hearing that is like, them police officers like, oh, well, you probably did something earlier. That kind of the kind of attitude it seems like they have. Like, well, if he didn't do nothing right then, he did something another time, so we just got him for that one. You should not shoot somebody And I think that most of the people are looking at the fact that, well, it didn't happen to me, so I feel for them, but it didn't happen to me. But if it ever happens to them, then they want everybody to be in an uproar with them. I think everybody kind of like separating yourself from these situations.
But the other part to it too is this. For what when you talk to a lot of people behind the scenes of stuff, they're terrified. They think about their children as walking the streets because of retaliation from the people that hold the seats and the higher ups per se. It might be a thing that they work for the city and they can't take that chance of losing their jobs and it's so much that come into play with certain people there that is but not just there, just across the board is just crazy because it's a control thing. And when we talk, like you saying, why we not in the uproar about Chicago or all these other places? Chicago had 20 killers a day. That's just their norm. Like that's their norm, and that's how people's looking at it. Oh, that's just Chicago,
They become desensitized, and that's just not right.
It's just a part of the everyday now. They have gotten complacent with it. It's part of the norm, you know. And the thing that's why I feel like we should be in the uproar about every shooting, every homicide. But we have to still put accountability where it lay. We got to start taking ownership for our part as well.
Because they classified Mr. Walker's killing as a homicide, but that was medical and not legal.
And they can't use it because of the corner saying it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There sometimes there's just I was looking at something the other day that said police officers are feeling less supported because of the racist cop stereotype. To me, the racist there is no what we can't do as well is we can't let authority figures deflect, reject, and overturn things that we know a thing is a thing. We can't let them not say that things don't happen, exist as well. So that's why I said we have to be a people of multitasking because the racist cop stereotype, I don't feel like that's a stereotype. People have been stopped by white officers and they were firm, told them what they needed to do, didn't give them a break or whatever. And they was just like, well, I got the ticket, or like we were talking about last week, it was what it was. But a person knows when a person has a temperament towards them, a behavior, a body language, a look in the eye. Y'all, sometimes you can look at somebody in the eye and tell that they hate you. So people know when they feel true racism, you know. So, and now they're trying to say that officers are feeling less supported because of the racist cop stereotype. Well, that's a problem that they should fix within when those racist cops show that behavior.
But the other thing now, a lot of our officers are in this thing. Ryan took my time. Come on, um, come on, y'all, help me out. A lot of these, like a Klansman, but it's not racist groups.
Oh, well, I'm
Yes,
how many are members of these groups?
it's a lot of them, and then if you remember, the cops in Buffalo the correctional officers got fired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
And they said that the young man had communicated with a former officer that
FBI agents.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it goes high. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had communicated with them and told them of what he felt.
And then too, let me say this, and this is a whole nother case. When you and I know y'all heard about it, but the Johnson kid in Valdosta, Georgia, the boys that did his killing, they parents, their grandparents was retired FBI agents.
Mm.
Retired FBI agents. So when they got all caught up in their little twisted turns of their stories for the day, it was all swept up. And then one of the FBI agents that was investigating the case, a black officer, they heard a lot of stuff from him and then told him that the case was over, that to leave Georgia because who these kids people were. I have the whole CD. I can drop it off to you there if you want me to, whoever want to see it. But the thing of it, the disc. So when we start, if we just and we say this all the time, if we were to all just come together, because there's more of us. But see, our problem is we can't unite because we could take over.
That's absolutely true.
We could take over. But see, we too worried about who's the chief.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's our problem. We too worried about who's the chief. But one thing about it, I go to church and in ministry or whatever, is we got to learn to serve and follow first. So we worry about who's the chief.
And that applies to
So
Right, because very few good leaders, there are very few great leaders who didn't want to follow at some point.
right. So so the thing about even when I worked at Kanika Jenkins' case, when I worked that case, after so long, they told us we had to get up out of Chicago because it was a higher up hit. And everybody that was affiliated with her that was getting close to that case was getting killed. But they didn't talk about it. Her uncle got shot up in the car, her mother's brother, everybody that was connected so close to that case got killed. And some of the protesters that was out there talking about justice for Kanika Jenkins was paid people from higher up. But they was us now, skin folks, us that was getting paid. But was out there high, would get arrested, go to jail for protesting, be right out in 10 seconds. Because they was hired by the higher ups. So this thing get deep. It gets deep.
It's nothing new though, because it's been going.
No.
I was looking at this weekend. I got a chance to check out the Who We Are film on Netflix. And the one thing that he said that really resonated was you cannot have a whole lot of these incidents that happen in middle of towns even without police involvement. There are police involvement in a lot of somebody at the police department, high up in the police department, knew about these things. The family here in Alabama whose father was killed left in a ditch, and no one was ever prosecuted for it, even though he admitted to it. Tell me once again how you can admit to killing somebody because you was rude to my wife.
Well, one admitted to anything.
As a matter of fact, right now there's an open arrest warrant for the lady who started that whole entire Emmett Till situation, and they won't even serve it to her.
No, they said they're not even touching it. They're not even touching it. They don't see. They're not even gonna go after her. There's no point in it. In so many words, they ain't say it like that, but
Went after Bill Cosby. He didn't kill anybody, but they went after him. And that, what is it? That has no statute of limitations, but they won't go out. They won't serve it.
Mm-mm. No.
So I think that's really why some people have like, man, they're gonna do what they're going to do anyway.
That mentality.
It looks as though that is going to be the case because you sit back and you see people do stuff and you like, man, how they get away with this? If it had been one of us, that's the first thing you say. If it had been one of us, they'd have thrown us up underneath the jail.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to get the right. They have a good gripe. I think that the gripe is real, but once again, you got to do something. Doing nothing is gonna get you the same thing you've been getting.
Mm-hmm. And this is the other thing, like you saying, how they know, like I work with a family. They seen the officers, the police, everybody seen the video of the boy killing the boy. They took him downtown, talked to him, whatever, kept him for a minute, however long. He back out on the streets. The mother's devastated. I mean, his face, you can see him just as clear as day. Him killing her son.
Mm.
But like and it's so hard when you're talking with these families and interacting with because the only thing they let him back out there because they want one of y'all to do it. That's one. Two, there is something behind him that they either waiting on him to do something else or for him to lead them to somebody. Because it's clear as day the boy's shooting the boy.
Mm.
And my thing is by I be so close into hearing and seeing and knowing it's so frustrating because you see what the higher ups are doing and you also see what your people is going through. And when you got detectives that block the family member's number because they call them too much or they're not answering the phone or they're saying that they're not in the office when they're in the office.
Hmm.
So it's so aggravating and it hurts. And I know me, I get too personal with these families, and so I be all emotional and crazy. So it's just like I'm working a case now. The boy kidnapped the girl Friday, and they found her Sunday. He done shot in the head, the stomach, the groin, multiple times, and then he drove to Pennsylvania and hung himself. They got a 2-week-old baby in the hospital in the
Right.
NICU unit.
Right. Is that the one that dropped his own daughter off and the dad ended up having to
Uh-uh.
report? Is it not that one? Oh my
Mm-mm.
goodness. So it's another
This
one.
this another one. This is in Buffalo. The girl had moved back home with her mother. He she was done with him. She just
I
had
got
the
it.
baby
He's like
2
old
weeks.
enough to be her dad. I got it. I remember.
And the case you talking about?
The one was this the one where you're talking about in Buffalo, the 40-year-old man, and she's like he had lied, and her uncle ended up saying, "No, we know him. He
No,
kind of went to school
no,
together."
no.
See,
That's a
it's so
different
much.
case.
It's so much.
That's a different case. I did that too. No, this is a different one.
So
This
you did
girl
that one
here.
too?
Uh huh.
Wow.
This girl here. The boy grabbed her at gunpoint Friday, like 2 in the morning, shot her all up and left her body in the car. He got in another car and drove to Pennsylvania, which is like an hour from Buffalo, and went to a hotel and hung himself and left notes with everything.
Hmm.
Told where her body was at, the whole nine.
So did y'all see the one on Facebook where he was in there with his son and he was telling them that they were going to have to shoot him because he had killed the mother?
Yeah.
We were talking about a lot of stuff this year pertaining to some of this violence. And Tim called in one time and said something like, "Y'all think it might have anything to do with the living arrangement, the place these people staying at, lead paints, lead pipes, asbestos in the buildings and everything. They got their heads. Tim said what he said the drugs that they're taking now. It ain't like the the stuff that we came up on like
Right. Well, I mean, they're all into that fentanyl now too.
yeah.
And they're popping the pills and they're doing like I just did paperwork for 2 white girls in the hotel dead because they getting high and they had fentanyl on it. Just the other day.
Oh
Just
my
the other
God.
day.
Did y'all see the
So
bodybuilder?
yeah, that kid.
This was a man. His wife, I guess, was
Okay.
scared to get help, and he had something laced, and it was laced with it as well, and he was just, oh my goodness. And they let that stay on Facebook. I guess they wanted people to see what type of mind frame it puts people in. And it was horrible.
It's awful.
It was horrible.
But you're right, Mike. The lead and the lead poison do affect the brains. But let's take it over here because I'm sure everything was in the pipes when I was coming up. You know what I'm saying? So, and drinking at the hose pipe water and all that. So I'm sure I got a little bit of everything ran up in me as far as drinking water, whatever. So, you know, but the thing that I'm saying is our kids today, and the Bible speaks of they're weaker. That's one. The other thing about it is they try any and everything. Their mind is not even equipped, because they listen to all this so crazy music and don't have enough sense, and I shouldn't say sense, but be able to dissect that these people are rapping about this stuff, but they don't live that life for real. This, they don't live that life for real. They're just
Right. They don't have
you
discernment. They don't have the
right.
discernment to understand.
Exactly. So we got, our kids, you know, and to be honest, the program that I do, you got to start catching like sixth grade. Sixth grade, and start in these schools, and schools need to stop turning their heads and acting like this stuff ain't going on. But you got to catch them young because I had a kid that was 9 year olds that I had to shackle him, head feet like a real criminal because he was a runner. Because he the one had the guns and everything. And when his mother came to court for him, he called her everything but the child of God. And you know what I did? I took him in the bathroom. I told the guy that was working with him, I said, take that off of him. Me and him went in the bathroom. And when I said, so you call her what? And you what? And that's your mother? I said, man, you need to talk to me like that, please. And that's what I told him. I said, talk to me like that, please. And I grabbed him up in his collar. I said, because I would tell you what the frame up in here. He said, I'm going to report you. I said, who you think they're going to believe? Who you think they're going to believe? Because you done had 4 guns that you done got caught with. Who you think they're going to believe? And you're 9 years old. I said, when we leave out of here, you're going to go out there and you're going to apologize to your mother. You're going to act like you got some sense. And guess what? And you're going to mean it. Or me and you are coming back in this bathroom. Right now, this young man right now, you never thought he got in no trouble. He calls me, he talks to me, he thanks me and everything. Because sometimes that's all they need.
We talked about that before too, Tina, in the aspect of at a part in our lives where we had big mama and them that would snatch us up. My granddaddy, if it was close to him, if he could grab it, that's what you get hit with. If you doing something you ain't got no business doing, and anything as little as being in the room and putting your opinion in a grown folks conversation.
Yeah, we have a shooter in Buffalo now at a grocery store.
Right now, is it breaking?
Right now,
Breaking news?
it's not. They just sent it to me through our work phone. Asian man, armed, Asian armed. Okay.
Wow. So, how many times can they sit? You know what? Congress is to the point now where they used to deflect and reject the argument about guns. Now they just stand there and stare with a stupid stare because they know they aren't going to do anything, and there's nothing else that they can say, and they know people are tired of them saying the same thing. Basically, meaning they're not going to do anything about it because of their Second Amendment right. But you got them messing with people's rights to access to abortion. Still messing with that little 2-year-old girl's family. Okay.
Okay.
Messing with that little girl's family. Saying that they lied, that it was made up. The attorney general had to come back. Went on Fox News saying that it was a fabricated story. Where the man had raped that girl and she had to go to Indiana to receive an abortion. They're out here now trying to prosecute a doctor. Everything that we knew would happen, they're happening. And now they're even, just like they had those trigger laws for the abortion. They knew Roe v. Wade would be overturned. They set those trigger laws to immediately take effect. Those laws were created before it was even illegal in the states that aren't allowing it. So now, as Clarence Thomas said, the Congress is setting up rules now trying to protect people's marital rights, LGBTQ rights to marry whoever they want to marry, whatever. Because he's already told them that those things need to be looked at. These are things, some of these rights are rights that people just acquired during maybe the Clinton, Obama era, especially the ones with the Obama era. You know, they want to undo everything he did. Now that they have that conservative court, Trump couldn't undo it, so he set them up to undo it. So that's why I keep questioning, when will they mess with healthcare? This country acts like that it wants it. This country prides itself on being the strongest country, but it appears that it wants this country to be one of the weakest countries because you keep taking and taking and taking from your people. This country is made up of more middle class and poor people, and a lot of the middle class have become upper class poor. If that makes sense. And it's like they don't care as long as they are protected. As long as they are protected, as long as they have bunkers they can run down to whenever things happen, they don't care. They're just staring at you now when you talk about these gun laws. They used to say, well, guns don't kill people, people kill people, people use guns, all this kind of stuff. They don't do that. Or they deflect and start talking about mental illness. People got so tired of them deflecting with the mental illness argument, so they're coming off and saying that now. So they're just staring at you like an idiot.
So my thing with that is, if you feel like it's so much mental illness, why haven't you provided funding?
And why you continue to cut mental health funding? Right, they continue to cut it.
Anything that is beneficial to the country as a whole, they tend to find that's where they make the first cuts from. Education, first cuts. Nothing, first cuts. These are the things that actually you should be pouring more money into because in the long run that's going to help everybody out.
And now I mean, it's open season on the Affordable Care Act because they just haven't said yet. They're slowly taking each one, and they got a whole bunch of stuff on their agenda. Because even when Justice Roberts was the one that would save that, because he was the one conservative that would switch over and would save that. But now, even if he switched over, we're still one short. We're still one short due to the fact that they robbed Obama of his people. We're still one short. Yeah. So anything they want to do right now, they can do it. And so Congress has to start all the way back over again. That's why it's so important that we go out and vote and make sure we keep a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate and vote over Save His Friend. Y'all know Nash. Vote over him and that woman because it's just like it's 48-52 now. Because everything he's against something already. He's always the one to come out against something. Him and that woman from Arizona. So it's just like it's really like it's 48 Democrats now and 52 Republicans. So we need to make sure we keep those 50 seats and get 2 more, preferably 3 to 4. And with the stuff that they're doing right now, upsetting people with this Roe v. Wade and other stuff that Clarence Thomas just threw out there, kind of glad he threw it out there because maybe people will see. Well, nobody thought it would overturn Roe v. Wade. I had a lady actually say, 60-some-year-old lady say, well, hell, nobody knew they were going to do it. Nobody really thought they were going to do it. If you pay attention to what these people are doing and saying, a lot of people thought they would do it, but it was nothing you can do with the makeup of the court being what it was. So now, if they want to be busy, we need to make sure that the Congress is what it needs to be so that when they create these laws, if folks want to sue, these states want to sue, these red states want to sue, then they're going to keep that Supreme Court busy. Because what they need to do is make sure they keep the majority to continue to make laws because they're tearing down laws, they're taking away your rights. So basically, there will have to be a new set of laws created if abortion rights are to be ever reinstated again. Won't be a reinstatement. It'll have to be a whole new set on the federal level. They end this. They end marriage equality. If they end that, guess what? Congress is going to have to pass legislation to get it back again. And guess what the Supreme Court is going to do? It's going to keep on throwing stuff out, overturning. So keep them busy. Keep them busy. Clarence Thomas is not going to retire. He's one that definitely won't retire. And most of the ones on there now are in their 50s, early 60s. So they're gonna be on there a long time. So keep them busy. And the only way we can do that is by voting and getting the Congress that we need. And they were talking about, it looks like Democrats are going to probably lose. And who knows what'll happen, especially with all these new voter laws that they're coming up with. Who knows? All these ways to cheat. Talking about giving states the right, states attorney generals right to overturn stuff. Secretary of State's overrights to reject certain votes. All this kind of stuff to play into. Is it enough for us to keep office? Is it enough for us to take an office? It's becoming an anarchy.
If you think about it, the United States is becoming the thing that it was formed to get away from. Right now, you talking about presidential and they talking about the Constitution and everything, but Trump was just about trying to be like a dictator over here in the United States. That's why he won't go anywhere. He won't go anywhere, and then to have him open up the door to have other acting minded folks like himself. You get other people who run in and regardless of their actual beliefs and parties say we're going to do this, so this is what we're going to do. And next thing you know, now they starting to believe everything that was being stated. And that's from to the country. We are moving so far backwards. Once again, looking at who we are. And he spoke about we get to a point as black people. We get to a point where the scale should be tipped. And right when we get to that point where we can make things change for the better for us, we fall back. And then the ball rolls backwards. Why is that? After in the civil rights movement, we started getting a whole lot of stuff that started falling our way during the civil rights movement. And then we got complacent. Got complacent to the point where, oh man, it's true, everything all right. And now we got people who saying, oh man, Marshall and stuff ain't never did nothing for nobody. Oh man, what I have heard some of our people sit back and say, what did Trump do wrong? What did, say he telling the truth? I've heard some of them even tell me that we ain't from Africa. No, man, they want y'all to think they can't tell y'all from no tribe in Africa. We from America. I done heard all these different arguments, and I'm sitting here looking, and some of these folks, until they said that, I thought were rather intelligent. Because they have successfully made us start second guessing who we are. Daryl, you talk about a lot of movies that you watched. There was a movie that came on Prime, and it starred Danny Glover and Whoopi Goldberg. It's called Good Fishing. They started off as this traditional black family. He was a lawyer. He got a big break, and slowly but surely, they started moving into higher class neighborhoods. To the point, they got to the point where he had a daughter who wanted to be white. She was putting blonde hair in her head. She was getting her blue contacts. She was picturing her skin. he got a neighbor that moved into his neighborhood that just so happened to be black. He didn't want to associate with him because he said everybody gonna think that we brought them over here. And when he said them, he used the word Indian. I don't want them Indians over here. And the sad thing about it is, it's a movie, but it's true. You got some people that they live in a neighborhood, boy, and they see another black family moving there, boy. They make more hit for them than anybody else in that neighborhood. I don't want them jokers over here, they'll bring my property value down. Why? How do you think that automatically? It happens.
Yeah.
Because they got us turning on ourselves. We have begun to turn on ourselves, and now that we're trying to say, hey, y'all, we need to get together, we need to unify, we need to do this, we need to do that. We can't. Once again, who's going to be in charge of everything? Oh.
And there's always that person or those people. You have those people that no matter what you're saying, you're trying to get something for the betterment or benefit or to make things better. They're gonna call or they're gonna say, but or let's not do this or let's not do that. We're not trying to be negative towards anything or anybody. But you can't just keep that's to me, that's the negativity. I saw something where it's like people would much rather I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just not gonna say it because Lisa don't mind. Y'all saw how successful the Juneteenth event was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's another organization, not even an organization, really this person. They tried doing something like that before. Okay, became upset because we had a Juneteenth event that was successful, that people were raised about, that people were happy about. Got Deontay Wilder as the grand marshal of the parade. Uh, uh, if everybody said that that event was a success, you have one person come on 2 or 3 days later talking about he did Juneteenth. Nobody said this and nobody said that. Why would y'all advertise that on another person's page? I mean, we're trying to advertise it everywhere. Now, whatever you had going on was Juneteenth in Tuscaloosa supposed to stop because you had something going on? See, everybody wants to be wants notoriety. Everybody wants to be the one. Everybody always, when something is going a certain way, instead of saying, well, hey, how about adding this and make it better? It's always, well, the rules like this. Why y'all got to do it this way? It's always some negative Nancy somewhere. And if you have your negative Nancy thoughts, that's fine. Dialogue about it. Don't put it out in the air. Don't put it on social media. Dialogue about it. Come to the meeting. Come to a meeting. Come to a Zoom, however it's held, and get that situation taken care of. But that person came on social media and was it ain't hot mad and started talking about, well, Norfolk wants to do this and wants to do that. Well, that's fine. That's even better. But like, why is it a problem that this event was had and that it was a success? And I know, well, it's because it was better than the one that they did try to have in the past. But why not say, oh, maybe we should have did it like this. Let me get some pointers from them. And then try to maybe you thought nobody would want to help you. Try first, then let them turn you down, and then say, well, okay, I'll just do it this way. But don't come out attacking it. Come out attacking it. But that's what we have too many people doing. We have this on these conversations. Now we have conversations where it's kind of just us. People come back and watch. It's kind of us and a few people, fakers that come. And then certain weeks, certain conversations, somebody comes in and tries, and I'm just gonna say, try to throw a monkey wrench into something, or they try to imply something is being said that's not being said. Why do we do that? I don't understand it. If you got questions, you need answers. Fine. But I always detect a degree of sabotage. I'll make up a word, sabotagism. I always detect detect a sense of sabotagism. Or I detect a sense of somebody taking it personal. And y'all, sometimes they ain't even taking it personal for themselves. They taking it personal for somebody else. We spoke on leaders. We spoke on leaders one day. Somebody called in, took the person for somebody else. They didn't get ugly. They didn't get ugly. But I'm just saying, sometimes you can't take accountability for somebody else when your first priority is taking accountability for yourself. Now, if you have a certain title and you feel like that title is being attacked, that's one thing. But would you take up for that same friend if it was 2 or 3 dudes over here gossiping about he was over here cheating with Susie? Would you speak up for him with that same passion, or would you stand there and kind of lean over and listen? So you'll lean over and listen if somebody's talking about your friend and his personal shenanigans going on, because you want to know the details. But we just say somebody needs to take more accountability. Our officials don't do this, don't do that. You want to call it, well. I'm like, hold, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Things have to be talked about. Things have to be dialogued about. And when people have certain positions, just because they have a position, you can't be afraid to talk about it when it's not something is not right, or you voice it. If you feel something's not right, just because you feel something's not right doesn't mean it's going to change, but it needs to be out there that you feel that way. And then you know what? A lot of times something does change. And that's what people don't want. So then that sabotagism sets in. They say, we talking about cows giving bulls roses, and we was talking about crime.
That's right. We try to sit down and have these conversations with people, and it's open forum. The phone numbers are always open. You can call in at any given time. And some of the people that we talk about, we welcome them calling. They won't do.
And I respect the ones that do call. Even if they can't call every time. At least they call sometimes. Some of them never call. Because we're all human. We're not going to agree all the time. But you can always come together for a common cause. You should be able to. You should always be able to do your job and listen, interact, dialogue. I respect those that do come. No matter how somebody may feel about them, they come. I said everybody can't come every time, but what I don't respect is the ones who never do. Or the ones who will, but they always got uh, a but, a but, or an excuse. I remember Mr. Watson the dance tell us he didn't want to hear buts or the roars. You know your music.
I'm still here, y'all. I'm just trying to get my dinner down right quick.
What we eating there?
Guthrie's.
You got to get quiet sometimes and get that dinner.
Trying to get it in, y'all.
I understand. I'm waiting on some shrimp to finish now.
Oh, y'all eat good today. Sure. All right, it was a sandwich. We sit here, we talking about everything. I'm listening to the fact that Tina had to get off the phone because she had to go down to another nurse. That's crazy. And this is her coming back. Hold on one second.
Well,
She had to get off the phone. That was sad. She already sounded like she was sleepy. Or she was a little tired.
She's back on the phone with us, by the way. Tina's trying to rejoin the conversation.
Yes, what y'all say?
We were saying that it saddened us that you had to get off the phone because even while we talking, there was another shooting incident.
Yeah,
you had to go and handle.
right. He didn't shoot anyone. Someone noticed him off the bat. And but so they was able to get him.
No, that is a great time.
Good.
That is a great time.
Yeah.
But now, let me. You say he was an Asian male, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to get anything started, but do you think they noticed him because he was an Asian male with a weapon?
You know what? I think for real, and that could be, but I think more so everybody's just so on pins and needles. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody just so on edge in the city now. You know, it's like everybody's suspect.
Mm.
You know,
I,
everybody's a suspect.
I was asking that question because I have a friend of mine down here who had a firearm. His was legal and everything. But he had it, and he wound up stopping by the Figure Wiggly in on the west side. Um, and when he got out his vehicle, like it kind of was showing a little bit, and he was pulling his shirt down. And these three white ladies walked up and, well, what do you need that for? Going into the Piggly Wiggly. I'm going to call the police.
Oh,
and they're like, well, call them. I got my permit. You know what I'm saying? Why you worried about, you know what I'm saying? You can carry a weapon in Alabama. And, you know, and he said, I stopped talking to him right then and there. I was like, what can I explain myself to these folks?
right.
So, but I was as soon as it popped in the fact that you said it was an Asian man, I was like, I wonder did they overly notice him because he had, you know, a firearm and he was an Asian. But now you be a white person and walk in looking like Matt Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
And won't nobody say nothing. So that's the reason why I was just wondering that question.
Right. Yeah, you know, and it could be, you know, with the fact that everybody's just so on edge. Um, that's the other part too. Even though they don't open up tops, the other tops. It's just that everybody's so on edge.
I would imagine that would be the case with a situation that happened like it did up there, and everybody was just basically just grocery shopping. A community that you had a bunch of people that was helping each other out in that community. You see,
Right.
you had a deacon that was driving people there just to get groceries,
Right.
and stuff like that. And you know, hey, I'm just going in here to, and it kind of coincides with, hey, we called and telling you about a situation that happened at our Walmart down here a couple of weeks ago, and what they said, oh, they were just kids playing a stupid trick. How do we know that? How do we know that their kids playing a stupid trick and if somebody had saw her say what she said
Had
and
they been
confront her
black
about
kids,
it?
it wouldn't have been a stupid trick. Or had they have threatened kids who even look like them. Same thing, you know, sometimes people do crazy. I mean, it's crazy overall, but had they been black kids, it would have been they would have had charges that were much more than what they got. And if they had been making a joke and saying some of their own friends, they would have gotten that looked like them, they would have gotten reprimanded more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we had two incidents a week apart of each other, and both of them were met with that. And I was like, okay, so what's the deal with this red, this red flag stuff y'all talking about? It seems to me like that's a red flag all in itself. And well, we assessed the situation and we determined that they were just doing stupid things. And is it they doing stupid things until the holler go off and shoot somebody? When there's
Mm-hmm. And then
all
be
the life is
sugarcoated
in.
water.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know the answer to any of this stuff. I don't. I got a lot of questions. I'm hoping that if we were all to get together and all put our heads together, we could come up with something. Because we as a people are very intelligent. We make things do what they do. Um, we make things out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying, we have to have that drive to do it. And I think that we kind of lose it. I said earlier, they have done the things they wanted to do. They have made us sort of sit up doubting ourselves, made some of us start hating our own color. Um, I don't want to be a part of them, or I'm better than them. Um, I was speaking to someone today about the project situations. The it was designed for you to get on your feet, but we having people that's living their generations of people staying in the projects, and they're not looking to get out.
But that's the inheritance emotion, emotional inheritance. You know what I'm saying? Like the seed been planted. Shoot, my mama was here, my grandma was here,
Mm-hmm.
the seed was planted. So, and they're not challenged to want better. I guess that's what I want to say. They're not challenged to want better. They're complacent. They're cool with being right there and paying $50 a month. And the sad thing about it is people get evicted behind them $50. Like I wish.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's astonishing to me because before all of this, I worked for the cable company, and I can't tell you how many of those private houses I went in, and a lot of those people had like you walk. I'm gonna use Rosedale as an example. I'm talking old Rosedale, not the new one that's up now. You walk into a Rosedale apartment, and when you walk in there, they got so much stuff in there you can't hardly maneuver. And I'm talking about like it's almost like Persian rugs and flat screen TVs hanging
The best.
on the wall, and you like what? And when you sit outside, they had Chrysler 300s sitting outside in the park, and you like, okay, you got all this stuff. It seems like you might want to go get yourself a house. But once again, you know what I'm saying, they content staying there because hey, my grandma stayed here, my mom stayed here. Um, when I turned 18, my mom took me right down into the housing authority, and I applied for me to get me some, and they put me over here. But I don't even want to stay in there another one. Like if everybody was in Rosedale, I want to stay in Rosedale. I don't want to go to Crescent East. I don't want to go to Brasco. I don't want to go to Mackenzie Court because that's where my family is. But you would never own a project.
You're right. And that's, when it's crazy that you said, because when I used to have to, when we walked the communities, and I would be talking to the guys, I said, you would never own this corner. You stand out here and hold this corner up all day and half of the night. I promise you, if you move, it won't fall down. I promise you, try it. Because you could get a job and do the same thing for them many hours. Yeah. But they hold in that corner. They hold it up. They hold that corner up. And I believe they really think if they move off that corner, something happen.
Every one thing, if you're gonna sit there and claim, oh, this is my corner right here, and clean it up, then. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna sit there all day and all night, don't let folks come around there throwing the stuff all over there, making it look all dingy and dirty and everything. Keep it clean.
Yeah. And some of them do. Up there.
All right, I don't think they're doing it down here.
Yeah, they were friends with the store owner, so he allowed them to do what they do. So he sweep up and make it. I saw a lady fighting for her corner. I mean, and it was just, it's always that one. It's always that one.
that's gonna act like Nino Brown, I guess. The other two or three, one of them was so talking all that trash, but he threw that hoodie on, talking all that trash and getting on, and they, I mean, they literally stood there, and she said it was telling them, this is not your block, this is not your corner. It's gonna be, yes, it is. What you want to leave us alone? So they used to paying people off to leave them alone, or kind of paying for protection from them. Just don't say anything. Now it's like I'm like I hope somebody lives with her. She wasn't afraid, and if she was afraid, she didn't let them know she was afraid. But they literally think, how do you own a corner or a complex that you never paid for? Don't see your name on the street sign. Don't see your name in the front of the complex as you come in. But he's sitting there wanting to argue this lady down. This lady paying rent. He ain't paying a dime. 3 or 4 of them. And then there was the other three had five the sense to go ahead and go ahead and leave. They talk, they leave. You got the one that's just want to hang around. And then all of a sudden, looks like she was like, I don't care about that gun. Trying to show something. They just think I don't know. It's just trying to reach. See, that's what we were talking about earlier. How do we address the issue of the violence in the community? So it's like they don't even understand because they have that mentality. Oh, these folks gonna do what they want to do, so I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like, do you not want better? Do you think that what you're doing is the best you can do? Yeah. You're gonna do this. You're doing it at 19, 20, 29. You're gonna do this till you 89, 99. And still living at home with your mama or whoever.
The third thing is you got some of them that stay at home with their mom until they move in with their girlfriend who they want to take care of them. And then whenever they find out that there's going to be an inspection over there at the house, they got to pack all their stuff up and throw it in the trunk of their car and drive around with it for a day or two until after the inspection. Then they can put their stuff back in there because they're not supposed to be there in the house with the girlfriend. If they get caught, then all y'all get put out. Guess what, ladies? When y'all get put out, you going back home to mama. You got nothing else to say.
That's facts. And you can't talk to the young ladies because as soon as you talk to him, he gonna come through that evening at night, swoon over, and it's back to square one.
See, he'll be the one that paid that $50, $60 rent. So he's doing something. But hey, he's doing that.
Right. And then she hollering. Like sometimes they don't even pay rent. Sometimes they don't even pay rent. Take the kids out to McDonald's or go get some nails done or something. Sometimes they don't even pay rent. Sometimes when she said the rent due about to get put out, he could do her face. You ask your mama knew. And that's right. You are so right. But this is the thing that, and maybe where somewhere along the way did we say our value was so little? Right. You think, cause you gonna get my nails done? Boy, you better try again. I can get my own nails done.
I was looking at. I tend to look at older shows. I was looking at Good Times. I was looking at Self and something, and both of them. Florida had to go get. James had lost a job, and they was like, "Well, we're gonna take you down there and get some welfare." Do you know that it hurt them jumping to the quick to even contemplate going to get welfare? I remember that episode. Lamont said the same. He said, "Man, we don't make enough money. Probably we make we don't even make enough money. We probably can be on welfare." Fred looked at him and said, "You shut your mouth. I ain't never been on welfare. And I ain't never." These people were in poverty, but they were too proud to say, "I'm gonna go up there and get some assistance." Now, as soon as people get of age, they looking to go up there to put themselves on assistance. When did this start happening? When did it get to the point where it's say, you know what, I can go out there, I can make this. Well, first of all, let me say this. It was a prime opportunity for young people to have come out Saturday to hear about financial freedoms. When you have something like that, nobody wants to come. Oh, it's too early in the morning. That's on a Saturday. But Saturday is the best day to me to go and do some stuff. We had some young people. We had Daryl, if I'm not mistaken, they had a lady in there who was 19, right? Still working for the company.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
You still was there?
I'm still.
She was 19 working with the company, right?
Yeah. Talking about the financial people, WHO.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, imagine what she's gonna be at 10 years from now when she's 29. And she probably already having her first home and probably investment properties because she already having the knowledge that most of us didn't even know to have when we 30, 40, 50 years old. Knowledge is a power that we all can go and get. We just choose not to go and do it. We lack the what's the word I'm looking for? Well, we just don't have that get up and go to go and do it anymore. Ambition, I guess that's the word. Now, too much ambition can be bad, but you got to have some, I think. Because you don't mean you're gonna be fine with where you at, and you ain't never gonna want to get nowhere else.
I came to the conclusion that's just how it is, Mike. Still ain't gonna get that insurance. Still don't want to hear about the good stuff. Ain't gonna work long. Gotta have that. Gotta buy a couple bags. I think it's gonna ever get legally here, and what effects it's gonna play on our communities once it is, or if it does get legalized marijuana.
Yeah. You know, I'm not even gonna put it on marijuana too either, Daryl, because I got a friend right now who sells health, and it's people, man. Them jokers, the stuff that they talk about they'll do for a lace front for 30 inches.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's like $300, and they got to get their hair did. Like it's astonishing to me that, and Tina, you just said a minute ago, when did you become to think that yourself was that you are so cheap in the aspect of you gonna get my nails done? Are we gonna give you some hair? We did a show on Sunday. I asked the question on our Battle of the Sexy show. Um, for a lot of women say that all men are dogs, but do you think that they are the way they are because of the way ladies allow them to be?
That was an interesting show.
Indeed. We almost didn't get off. We talked about that so long. Both men and women. Very, very interesting.
Sometimes I think it's about of course it always based on kind of how they're raised, but then that's just again some people get all hookers in the world and still end up being bad. But when it comes to an adult, a woman can't let a man be sorry unless he want to be sorry. Like the women we're talking about, where they stand in the hospital doing this, if they see they can do it, they're going to do it. And if he doesn't, then that's a reflection of both of them. But on a personal level, that's a reflection of him. Because if he's ever had a real man to teach him what a real man is about, he's not going to do that. If she's ever had a real woman to teach her what a real woman is about, she's not going to allow it.
And that's exactly what we came up with Sunday going through. We basically say my exact word was if a woman don't allow a man to sit at the house while she goes to work two jobs, and she gonna allow him to sit at the house and play video games. Why would he want to do anything other than that if you allow him to do it? But if you make him, like you said, well, you're not gonna be here, and he can't find another woman that allow him to do that same thing, he gonna have to straighten him fly right now, ain't it? Because he gonna.
But see, that's my thing
Nobody's not
though.
gonna take care of him.
That's my thing though. He is gonna find another woman that's gonna let him do it. There are women that are going to let him do it. If she tells him that, he is gonna find a woman that's gonna let him do it. That you see the men recycling the men every day in these projects, and not even just the projects. Well paid women who have low self esteem, and those men also have low self esteem because, like you said, if she allow him, no, he's an adult male. He's grown. He went to school just like she did. Hopefully graduated just like she did, and may just not have been taught the same morals and values. Because even if she say in the case of she allows him, okay, if she allows it, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna be that type of man for her to allow that. She may be that type of woman. I've seen young men tell girls, tell young ladies, don't no, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for that. Don't do that. A real man will know not to do that. Because he is gonna find somebody that will let him do it. If she feels like, well, he gonna find somebody else, well, you're right, he is gonna find somebody else to let him do it. But if he's a man, he's not gonna want to do it.
But Veronica, my point is, if she comes through and she don't allow him to do that with her, and he had to get out, and then the word gets around that she don't play that stuff, the type of guy she gonna get is gonna be a whole lot better than what she had to get. She's not gonna have that same type of guy that won't come in there because he know he's not. They know that she ain't playing it.
Yeah, she set the standard for herself. That's why I say it's personal accountability. Now, as far as him going, he shouldn't want to do that if he's a real man. But as far as her setting her standards for herself, yeah, she's gonna get the right type of guy. Eventually, as long as she stands strong in her truth. But at the same time, if she says, well, okay, he here or whatever, yeah, depending on the type of man he is, he's gonna take advantage of it. If he's a real man, or if he's even attempting to be a real man, he's gonna do what he's supposed to do. And that's what's gonna get her out the projects. They're gonna work on getting out of the projects.
And I think when it came down to it is that there was a song, Betty White did a song where she said something about having an abusive man is better than having no man at all. So she's gonna take what she got and work with it. And I think a lot of women wind up sticking it to a whore. Like, well, at least I got somebody. Everybody that you got ain't good for you. So
it's true, but a man can say the same thing for a woman. Some men they say the same thing. So that's why I say it still boils down to self accountability. A woman can't make you do anything, and a man can't make you do anything. Now, some people are weak minded, and maybe they can. But if it's a real man with good morals and values, and a real woman with good morals and values, you can't make them do anything. If you allow him to be a freeloader, he's not going to be a freeloader. If he's the right man. If he's not the right man, like you said, she tolerates it, then she may tolerate men like that. That's something about her.
I mean, I ain't mean to get off on it, but because I think that's a whole other thing to talk about that we were actually getting into. But I simply was saying that we didn't got to the point where we don't have any higher standards for ourselves. Like
exactly.
If the standard is that well, shoot, my mom she stayed here, my grandma stayed here, I'm gonna stay here too. You know, if you got a whole family full of folks, like generations of folks staying here in a project, and they don't want nothing else. They don't want anything else. They ain't trying to find a house. They ain't trying to find nothing.
That's why I say it's each person. It's self accountability. Because I've seen some men that they got their own Section 8. They ain't got a woman. They got their own. Got their own Section 8. People act like it don't happen, but there are a lot of men on Section 8.
Oh yeah, I get that part, but my thing is, what's the one thing they say that drives crime? Being in impoverished areas is the one thing that drives crime.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have no desire to even get out of a low income area. You kind of set yourself up to stay in a high crime area, right?
Well, I mean, that they gonna sell. Sadly, if they of the mentality that that's what the rest of the family did, and that's what they say, they. And it's not even about always purchasing a home. Some people, for other reasons, can't purchase a home. But my goal was to always get out of an assisted home.
And that's the major thing. To be able to get yourself to a point where you're living comfortably and not on assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically let somebody else take care of you all the time. Because, regardless of how you want to look at it, if you're paying $60 for rent, and it's four of y'all staying in the apartment, you on assistance. And you probably getting EBT and all kind of other assistance too. Especially if you're able-bodied to go out and work and make things happen. There's that. Now there's people that on disability, they can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? That stuff happens also. But my whole entire point is that the project complex was supposed to be meant as a temporary thing, not for a long-term solution.
Yeah.
But it has turned into this is where we're gonna group all of them in. And somehow or another, the switch got flipped in our mind, and that's where we're supposed to be at, and we don't want nothing more.
So, do we feel like if people strive to have better or more, get themselves out of those situations, the crime will go down overall? But like I said, impoverished areas, but impoverished areas aren't the only areas that have crime. But do you think it would be a significant drop
I think it
in
depends.
crime? Because a lot of those areas can be cleaned up and still be assisted areas.
I think it's not necessarily the neighborhoods look bad, because yes, they all can be cleaned up. I don't think that's it more so than actually.
No, I'm not talking about looking bad. I mean cleaned up as in the crime.
Oh well, I think that once you get to that point where you have steady income coming in and you're able to handle your finances, I think that will drop the crime a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I think it dropped drastically actually. Because the reason why people rob is what? Because they want what you get that they don't have. But now if I'm working and I can go buy it myself, then why I need to rob you?
Yeah. But that's what I mean with cleaning up, because a lot of places, their assistance, but once you start bringing in income, your assistance decreases. You even to the point of paying the full amount.
Exactly.
But nobody wants to pay the full amount where everybody else is still not doing so. So I just think sometimes the agencies aren't, once they're filled, they're not as strict. Some are, some complexes are, but once they get them filled, the agencies aren't as strict anymore. Because this is like Forest Garden. It used to be a prime place to be in Tuscaloosa to live. Students lived over there, handicapped lived over there, and working class African Americans lived over there. It was a mix. And then, those handicapped, there was assistance, but it was only a certain type of assistance could get over there. And maybe, I don't know if the apartments weren't getting filled or whatever, but then, more people started to live over there. I lived over there and it was fine. Nobody hanging in the breezeway, nobody on your steps when you trying to come up out of your house. When it got to that point and I had my license, I got away from up over there, because then it's not like it is now, but you got guys hanging around the breezeway. Don't not on not one lease. The women they with probably down in apartment 23D, but they down here on 10C, kicking it with the fellas, watching the other women and children. And now I've seen so many videos of fights and carrying on over there in the streets. And I'm like, I used to live over here. And it was a place that would boost you up because once you started making a good income, your income went up. And even though it may not have been, say, as much to live in Foster Garden as it was to live in, say, Ski Lodge at the time. Like they've changed, I don't know how Ski Lodge is, if they take assistance now or whatever, but at that time they did. But if your apartment Foster Garden was $350, why not go ahead and pay the $450 to live in Ski Lodge, where it was better? People were going to work doing their thing. They weren't just sitting at home, not on the lease, and watching everybody's schedule. Can come tell you everybody's schedule in the complex, and they don't even supposed to be over there.
Mm-hmm.
Now they to the point of recording stuff. These kids, teenagers, young adults, recording stuff on Facebook over there with all kind of shenanigans going on. All kinds of stuff. And they act like they living it up. You know, kids are gonna be kids, but a lot of these are young adults, up from 18 to 25, living it up. That's how they live it up.
You know, Tina said it earlier too that sometimes you just got to get to these kids at young ages, and like she was saying, like sixth grade and everything. I'm actually thinking elementary school, um, and having programs to get them involved in other things other than just hanging out on the street. I still think that we need youth programs here in the city. I don't understand why we don't have any. I know that there is did y'all know that there's a boys and girls club on the west side now?
Mm-mm. Do they utilize it?
Excuse me. Huh?
I didn't know. Do they utilize it?
It actually it's been open for like I want to say 3-4 months now. Excuse me, 3 or 4 months now, and they haven't put any type of advertisement, letting folks know anything about. It's actually in one of the old schools over there. And they haven't even opened up that whole entire, like, they don't have all the same things that the one in Alberta City has yet. Um, and I don't understand that. Like, how can you open up this Boys and Girls Club, knowing that it to me is a good idea because everybody's not going over to Alberta City to the Boys and Girls Club, but you don't even want to open up, all the gyms, all the other activities that you had over in Alberta to the new one.
So
Like, I don't
it's
think
like
it's
a partial
just,
facility. It's like a partial what? Like it's like a partial facility. Like they're not allowing. I don't know what I'm trying to ask. Like, so what do they do over there? Like, is it even worth? Because some things have to be worth somebody's time. And when I say time, like if you're gonna do something for kids, do it all the way. Like,
that's
don't
my
do
point.
something that they're not gonna be attracted to.
That's exactly my point. Like, first of all, if you're gonna have you had that open in the summertime, that could have been a whole. I think that there's a lot of families that probably would have taken their kids over there to their Boys and Girls Club, and let them have most of the day over there at the Boys and Girls Club, for the summer vacations. But of course, like once again, the folks don't know anything about it. Daryl, did you know anything about it?
Mm-mm. I didn't.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, that should have been something that was announced. It should have been announced, and that's some of that other information in our community that need to be broadcast out there. Like, hey, there's a Boys and Girls Club over here now, so y'all don't have to go all the way to Alberta. Y'all can come right over here. So yeah, once again, you just It's a little bit of thing. We have to attract our kids' mind in other things that they might be interested in. And once they interested in something and it's something that they want to do, they'll be less likely to, I think, to stay out there in the streets and run around with Ray Ray and them because they just trying to, hang out with they big cousins or they big brothers and everything. And now they got their own things to do.
Yeah. Well, Mike, got a big day tomorrow. Is tomorrow when you're gonna have the mayor with you?
So that's
Next week? Okay.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Miss
Okay.
Miss Sanders, you still gonna be on with us on the 27th, right?
Oh, she done pulled a Lisa.
There she did. She like, sleep on us.